Okay, so this is a guide on how to increase combat class. A lot of it comes down to gear, so I was saying this at the beginning of the video. If you want to check out my gear guide or equipment guide, whatever, do check it out in the description. That's because a lot of the video will be talking about equipment, but I will not be explaining it because I've already made a video that explains gear. I'll just cover the basics, right? So if you want to check the gear video out, it's going to be in the description and at the end of this video. Now, moving on, how do you get high combat class or combat power? We used to call it combat power on JP until Global came out, and then they said, nope, it's combat class. As you can see, this is my JP account. I have this much combat class because I've been playing for a while. Not to be deceived, I am using combat class food. Listen, I needed a thumbnail, and then my thumbnail maker was like, put some food there. But actually, my combat let me put some weird food. My combat class on my JP is 195,000. So it is still very high, even if I did use the combat class food. It's still very, very high. But just jumping in, how do you get it high? 100%, not 100%, but a big chunk of it comes down to leveling up, of course, awakening your character, so giving the stars, and most important of all, equipment. Equipment is the key to increasing your combat class, because combat class is all three of your stats combined divided by 3. Now, that's very important because it goes along with what I'm going to say. If you really want to force having a really high combat class, HP and defense gear is the best thing you can do. I have on my team, I have 3 sets of attack and defense and 1 HP and defense. I did give King HP and defense just because of combat class. I was like, oh, because on PvP I do use King in the back for a lot of teams, penetration team for to be more precise. So I was like, oh, he can really increase my combat class and I'll have a little bit of an advantage over my opponents if I do have more than them. So I gave him HP and defense, and that's again very important. I do have global here open as well. My global team not looking so hot, so but I will be explaining the rest of the video on global just because it's all in English. To be honest, I can show a lot of it on JP as well, but that's most of it. And a lot of it, actually, I'm gonna have to go on JP for, back here because I want to show my gear. You do see that I have UR gear right now on global. You can't get UR gear. The max you can get right now is SSR. UR gear must be coming, like, I want to say 3 months. It should take a while because awakening SSR gear to UR gear is not very easy. But your SSR gear matters a lot because of the raw stats that it gives to your characters, and leveling them up and giving the percentage boost to stats will increase your combat class, just because, again, the combat class is the 3 stats combined divided by 3. So getting really good HP gear, just like I said, is key. As you can see, my attack, I do have attack and defense, but I did give this HP defense 14%, and that's SSR gear, awakened to UR gear. So that's really good. I'm gonna hammer this up, actually. Nice, so they gave him that 0.3. That's actually really, really good. It's key to increasing the percentage of the stats in your gear. Do not, please, do not give gear random stuff. Like, I can, maybe, okay, so let's say Counter Meliodas does a lot of crits, so, ooh, I should give him crit damage because they're gonna increase his damage. Not really, like, here's the thing, it might even increase a little bit. Let me give him this gear right here. But it's not worth it. Right here, attack. This is what you should roll for in the attack gear. HP is what you should roll for the HP gear. And don't go for crit chance and crit damage. I have it here, but it's just because I haven't rolled this. Go for defense in a defense gear. And that's what you should go when you go about the gear one. 100%. And again, if you want to go for getting the max combat class possible, HP and defense. Now, I would recommend most characters to have attack and defense just because doing damage for the most part is more important than having more HP. It's very rare when it's not. And for the activities that it could be, like, for example, this is not global yet, but on JP we have an activity called Final Boss, or we could call it Super Boss. It's a very long and kind of difficult activity, but what we do is we use lifesteal food, which I don't even know if I have it on global, so I don't know if I can show it. Lifesteal food increases your lifesteal, of course, by 10%. Yeah, I do. blah blah. Yeah, lifesteal by 20%. I thought it was 10. 20%. So you heal, what lifesteal does is it makes you heal back when you do damage. And if you do more damage, it means you're gonna heal more. So having attack and defense do most of the cases be better than having HP and defense. But a lot of try-hard people just go for full-on HP and defense just to have the highest possible, right? But moving on, one thing that is very important is dupes. Now here's the thing. Dupes do increase your combat class, not by increasing your stats. I know a few people still think that the dupes increase your stats. It doesn't. Dupes in this game, the only three things that the only three things that dupes do is increase your combat class by 400, flat, 400, increases the ultimate damage, right? As you can see, it goes from 420 to 462 right here with the one dupe, right? And the third thing that it does, which is very important, is it increases the amount of stats that a link unit gives. What do I mean by that? So right here in the unit, you can see that it shows, increases the associated hero's basic stats by 5%. Increases basic stats by 1% for each ultimate level. As you can see, she gives 5 because she is 1 out of 6, right? If I give her 6/6, it will actually give 10%. I can actually show on JP because I do have my units in the back as 6/6. It will be in Japan, but you can see the number, right? Let me take him off and put Slater back on because Slater is right here. 10%, as you can see. It's not 5% right now, it's 10 because he is max duped. So he's giving 10% of his stats to Estarossa right there, instead of giving the 5 that a non-duped unit would. So having the units that link with your characters being 6/6 is very important. My Hauser here is 6/6, Merlin's 5/6, but I'll explain why I'm using her instead of someone else. And this, if I'm not mistaken, is 3/6. But again, I'll explain why I'm actually using her and not someone else that is 6/6. And it's not because of the ultimate damage from the link combo, it's because actually Fate combos give extra 1000 CP. Now let me actually... I'm sorry, combat class, I'm sorry, all the time. So, if I click here on the one that's crossing swords, you can see... Oh, it doesn't show? Wait, is it only with UR? Wait, let me take it off. Why? What doesn't it show? It should show. Okay, let me go back to JP here. Maybe it's not implemented on global, but here's the thing. This is combat class. Fate combos, or... Well, how do we call it on global? Let me actually check. Combined attack, whatever, combined attack combos give an extra 1000 combat class to you. It shows right here on JP, but it doesn't show on global. Interesting. Is it not implemented? I assume it's implemented on global, man. It should be. But it gives you 1000 extra. If it's not implemented on global, I don't know. It might be in the future, but as you can see, it shows right here. It gives you an extra 1000 combat class if you are a Fate combo or a combined attack, right? That's why I have here Merlin is also combined attack, so she's also giving 1000, and so is Diane. So that also increases your combat class by quite a bit. Like 1000 in the grand scheme might not look like too much, but when you're stretching to get as much as you can, the extra from the 1000 might help. Like using this Diane compared to using someone else, she is actually the best option I have. But moving on to something else that also increases your combat class by a lot is actually costumes. Costumes do increase it quite a bit, especially when it's talking about ungeared PvP. As you can see right here, I do have max costumes for King, and it's not a coincidence. Here's the thing. I have been playing the game for months, so I used a lot of my farmed gems to buy costumes because I knew that, oh, King is a very valuable unit. He's a really good unit. So I'm going to be buying costumes for him because I do need his stats to be higher. If you don't know, costumes do give an extra boost of stats. It's not that much. Like, actually, you can get pretty high CP without having any costumes, especially without having any paid costumes, because a lot of units have free costumes as well that you do get from getting the max affinity, right? As you can see, I have my full affinity of King right here. But if you want to stretch for the highest possible, costumes will be necessary. But again, for like mid-tier game, I don't think it's necessary to be buying costumes at all. I don't even have I mean, for this team I have full costumes. That's actually why they are displayed here as my my max. This is my max, the combat class team right here. Escanor is a brute force. He has so high stats. That's why he's actually in the team as well. He's such my main Escanor. When he comes on global, I'm telling you, your combat class is gonna go up. He has so much combat class. He has so much. But yeah, costumes do inflict, and that's also worth for the units in the back as well. The units in the back, their stats also matter because you're giving the stats to the units up front, right? And these stats right here, combined, divided by 3, is what gives you the combat class. So again, these are pretty much all I can think about that really increases your combat class. Again, ultimate increases by 400 each time. So if you have a full ulted unit compared to like a unit that's 1 ult, it's gonna be an extra 2000 just right there, right? And then stats increased by gear. The link unit, the link buddy, being like with good gear as well, because as you can see right here, my DN in the back here, she also has full SSR, HP, and defense gear. Not a coincidence. I did give her it because I wanted to increase my combat class. And same thing goes for everyone here in the back. These other units right here as well, right? They all have really high gear, just because they do give the stats. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I can't think of. I don't think there's anything else really about combat class. I mean, food also increases it. If you, like, let's say, as you can see right here, 195,000. If I use HP food, it's gonna increase to like 204,000? 203,000, pretty much for 204,000, because I'm increasing my HP, therefore I'm increasing my stats, and I'm increasing my combat class. In general, for the most part, gear. So check out the gear guide if you want. For the most part, it's gear. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and that's it.